One of the things we've talked about, the existence of God and the whole secular world, the atheists out there, you know, some of the material you think in terms of the miracles today, sometimes they're seen as something that might have existed in the past. They don't exist anymore theologically, or they were misunderstandings, like some of the people we've heard before, like Spinoza. Spinoza taught the term miracle should be understood with reference to the opinions of men, that it means simply an event which was unable to be explained by other events familiar to our experience, because they were all about experience, right? Including people like Locke and Kant. And we hear that. Is that a reason why we seem to have such a skeptical age when it comes to miracles today?
Well, yeah, I mean, there was, you know, a whole lead-in to this kind of skepticism, you know, that part of it has to do with an overreaction to the beautiful natural sciences, right? Natural sciences, you know, taken to their ends, you know, can be the way of validating a miracle, but there is a movement called scientism, which tries to restrict all reality to observable, empirical, physical reality. Now, that, of course, as I've described before, is self-refutational, because, you know, the minute you make the statement, all reality must be observable, you can't prove that statement by means of observational evidence, because, of course, you would have to know what you don't know in order to show that everything is observational. And if there is something outside of observation and everything is reducible to observation, you wouldn't know it. So it's a completely self-refuting statement. Now, that scientism is what kind of got off the ground. But there are antecedents to scientism. And one of them is Spinoza, who was very much a determinist. So he resolved ahead of time, look, if something looks like a miracle, it's just that we don't know the natural cause that caused it. Now, nobody really believes in Spinozistic determinism at all anymore. And certainly nobody believes that the world operates according to completely deterministic laws, scientific laws. Now, that was thought in Spinoza's days because that was a pre-quantum physics time. So, right, there's, you know, essentially there is no sense of quantum physics, right? Everybody thinks the scientific laws are deterministic. Kant thought that, Hume thought that. Nobody believes that today. Nobody believes in complete determinism today. In fact, you know, the uncertainty principle of Heisenberg, which is the basis for a whole area of quantum physics, is alternatively called the principle of indeterminacy, right? There's indeterminacy built into the universe itself. So all of Hume's arguments, all of Spinoza's arguments, and even the implied Kantian arguments against miracles on the basis of scientifically deterministic laws of nature are completely thrown out the window. I mean, nobody believes this anymore. Not even strict naturalists believe this anymore, because, of course, quantum theory completely disproves it. So anyway, but it's there, and still this kind of view persists. There are a lot of scientists out there who prefer to remain naturalistic, and even, you know, we'll talk a little later on in the program about Alexis Carrel, who was a Nobel Prize winner, but he was very much an agnostic who didn't want to believe in miracles, but in the end he couldn't deny it. Right. He was just confronted with it right up to his neck, as it were. But the main thing is there are a lot of people who still hold that as a natural prejudice, but I would say that there is such ample evidence based on good scientific analysis, medical analysis of physical causation that shows that there are some kinds of transphysical causes at work that are not reducible to merely inexplicable or unknown natural causes, but real transphysical causes. And that, of course, we can talk about some of those modern miracles that have been tested out, and we can certainly already also talk about some of the ancient miracles like raisings from the dead that just cannot be accounted for in any natural terms. And we've been talking about that too, by the way, in the Shroud of Turin, when we talked about, you know, how does a dead body produce several billion watts of vacuum ultraviolet radiation for 1/40 billionth of a second to produce a completely unique and perfectly three-dimensional negative photographic image, you know, in 1/40 billionth of a second. You tell me, you know, how you're going to explain that with unknown natural causes. Not.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Okay.
So, for all intents and purposes, I do think there is reasonable and responsible evidence for miracles today, and certainly ultimate scientific justification for it in the principle of indeterminacy, which is intrinsic to quantum theory.